A large-scale winter storm took place from January 26 through 28, 2009 across the Ohio Valley and up into the northeast. It produced crippling ice in parts of the Ohio Valley and heavy snow to north of the swath of significant icing. By the morning of January 26, hundreds of warnings, advisories and watches were out from Texas to New York due to the massive size of this system. At one point this system's precipitation shield would stretch from San Antonio, Texas to Boston, Massachusetts, which is over 1,700 miles. But before the storm hit, meteorologist John Dissauer was forecasting how the historic storm would unfold.
Hi, I'm Storm Team Meteorologist John Dissauer. Thanks for checking us out here on KFES12.com. Wanted to give you an update as to what we might see out of this potential winter storm coming our way for Monday night through Tuesday and through the early morning hours on Wednesday. It should be out of here probably before 6 o'clock Wednesday morning. Now tonight, as of taping, we're taping this about 5:30 on Sunday evening. Winter storm watches are in effect from Monday evening through Tuesday evening for all of southern Illinois, western Kentucky, all of southeast Missouri, as well as northeastern Arkansas, and also Obion and Lake counties in northwestern Tennessee. Winter storm watch means we could see any of the types of winter precip that comes down in the form of either some snow, sleet, or some ice in the form of some freezing rain. And take a look at all the watches and warnings that are in effect this evening, all the way stretching from Oklahoma City back over towards Pittsburgh. We've got winter storm watches and already ice storm warnings in effect across northwestern Arkansas, and I expect more ice storm warnings to be issued as the storm keeps pushing off to the east. As about half of the watches north of it's going to be more of a snow issue, the bottom half of that, or the southern half, will be more of an icing issue over the next 2 to 3 days. Now this is one of our forecast models we take a look at. This is actually called the GFS model, and it gives you an indication of what we might see over time. This one's probably the closest of all the models right now as to the current thinking that we've got. Starting at 9 o'clock Sunday night, maybe a little bit of light snow across northern portions of the area. The storm is still yet not developed, but starting at 10 o'clock Monday morning, this model beginning to indicate the storm getting its act together down across northern Texas through Oklahoma and southern Kansas. And notice as this begins to push off to the east-northeast. Timing is still a little bit in question. I'm thinking maybe around 8 or 9 o'clock we start to see it moving into our viewing area across southeast Missouri and the Missouri Boot Heel. But notice by 7 o'clock it's beginning to bring it in. I think we start out as all snow for a brief moment, and then it begins to change over to our mix across the region. The northern sections could see some heavier snow as we go through the overnight hours Monday night into Tuesday morning. The middle section, sleet and freezing rain, and the southern section, mainly freezing rain out of this. Through the day Tuesday, things wind down a little bit, but then Tuesday evening, things begin to pick back up again, with the heaviest ice fall at this point across western Kentucky, northwestern Tennessee, and the Missouri Boot Heel, and then the system begins to push out of here late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. A couple of the other forecast models we take a look at. I just wanted to show you these to give you an indication of potential. I don't like the placement of this particular model where it's putting them, the snowfall amounts, but I wanted to at least give you an indication of what's going on. This is called our RPM model, and again, this is for snowfall accumulation as we go through time. And notice how it's putting the bulk of the snow a little further to the north. So it's got the storm actually transitioning further to the north. I think this will probably be a little bit further to the south, probably in the order of 100 to 150 miles or so. But you can see a heavy swath of snow right through the middle. Now, if you take the models at how much moisture they've got in the air, we could possibly see in some of the heavier bands, not just here in the viewing area, but outside of the viewing area, anywhere between 8 to 10 inches of snow, if we squeezed every drop of rain or moisture out of the sky and brought it down as snow. The other side of it is we're talking ice around the region, and again, this RPM model's got it just a little bit further to the north than what I would like, and the ice, what it's looking at is both the sleet accumulation and ice or freezing rain accumulation. And notice a heavy swath, if you look at the legend here, a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch right through the middle of us. And then you even notice some little, the brighter pinks, we're talking a 3/4 of an inch to an inch of ice. I don't think it's out of the question. Some locations where we do end up seeing the ice could see upwards of an inch of ice out of this. Again, that's all the way through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So a big winter storm heading towards us with the potential of heavy snow, heavy sleet, and perhaps heavy icing out of this.
We start out at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in January 26, 2009. Light snow was falling in southern Kansas, with ice from OKC over to Little Rock and light rain falling to the south of that. By 7 it had began to snow in Kansas City, and the swath of snow stretched all the way over to St. Louis. and sleet and freezing rain was falling from Springfield down to Little Rock. By 9 p.m. local time, moderate snow was falling in St. Louis and thundersleet and freezing rain was falling in parts of northern Arkansas. And the leading edge of the snow was nearing Indianapolis. Back on this Monday night in 2009, meteorologist Jennifer Ricavina was tracking the ice in the Paducah area.
Now to Local 6's Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Ricavina in the Breaking Weather Center. Jennifer, what's in store for tonight?
Well, really, guys, it has just begun. We're watching this develop very quickly and move into the Local 6 viewing area. Very dangerous conditions through the overnight hours. Please stay inside. This is a dangerous winter storm that's moving into the region. You can see just over the last 2 hours, some very heavy bands of freezing rain and sleet now developing across much of western Kentucky, southeast Missouri, and we're seeing significant accumulations already for portions of southeast Missouri along I-55, snow moving into portions of southern Illinois. Let's take a closer look into some of the areas of heaviest precipitation falling right now in the form of freezing rain and sleet, where we're seeing those dangerous road conditions, especially along the Mississippi River, Bardwell south into Fulton, the Purchase Parkway, north into Paducah, already seeing those accumulations. Certainly the Sykeston, Charleston area. We are seeing some heavy returns out of here, even possibly some thunder and lightning. That's how strong this storm system is. A little farther to the north, you can see into southern Illinois, the snow starting to fall. For those of you along the I-64 corridor, down I-57 to West Frankfort, Benton, even Marion, switching between snow and sleet, starting to get that accumulation there as well. Here's a projection over the next hour, what we can expect. Snow totals near another inch in Carbondale, Marion over towards the Harrisburg area. Farther south you go, this translates into sleet and ice, so up to 1/4 inch of ice in the next hour or two possible in Paducah. So we're going to continue to see that ice accumulate across the region, and here's what we're expecting as we go through just tomorrow morning. 1/2 inch to maybe 1 inch of ice and sleet over much of the Local 6 viewing area. More ice as you go farther south, more in the way of snow across southern Illinois, and we're going to have more hour by hour coming up in just a little bit, guys. Here we have a computer model that's going to project the possible power outages across our region. Notice how large this area is. The yellow, the least potential you have. If you go into that red, that's where we have a high impact or widespread power outages possible. That does include areas just south of Paducah, Mayfield, Murray, back through Fulton, Columbus, the Missouri Boot Heel, especially towards Hayti and Caruthersville. Very strong possibility of widespread power outages, including Union City, Martin, Paris, and as you head towards the Hopkinsville area, where we expect the highest ice accumulations across.
By 1 a.m. moderate snow was falling from just south of St. Louis through southern Indiana. And light snow stretched over to Columbus, Ohio. Ice was still falling from Oklahoma City through Bowling Green, Kentucky. By 4 a.m. northern Kentucky, southern Indiana and Ohio were seeing moderate to heavy snowfall with rates exceeding 1 inch an hour at times. Also Nashville was seeing some light freezing rain at this time. But up in Paducah it was starting to accumulate on most surfaces.
1 inch of ice is coating all of these trees and all of these power lines right now, and that added weight is just not going to hold up on these trees. And so we want to make sure that you're safe in your homes tonight. If you're listening by radio or if you're in the car, these are some things that you want to do to stay safe. Stay indoors. By all means, do not go outside and venture out. Do not go sightseeing to look at the fallen trees and power lines across the region.
By 7 a.m. the snow was still coming down in Cincinnati, Columbus and Charleston, West Virginia, with the leading edge of the precipitation was already over to the Jersey Shore. By mid-morning the first wave had moved into the mid-Atlantic, dropping moderate snow to the north and rain to the south. A lull in the precipitation was occurring over southern Indiana and Illinois, but to the south in Kentucky freezing rain was still falling. And Kentucky residents knew it wouldn't be long before they lost power, as the storm was only halfway done. Wave 2 would start to move into Illinois and Indiana during midday, and light snow would start falling once again. The sleet and freezing rain line moved farther north as the low-pressure system approached and pulled up some more warm air from the Gulf. So areas in southern Indiana that were all snow the night before were now seeing a wintry mix. It was good news for areas in southeastern Kentucky as the freezing rain started to change over to plain old rain. By 4 p.m., Indianapolis was seeing moderate snow, but to the south in Evansville, Louisville and Lexington it was all ice, coming down at rates of 1/10 of an inch an hour. The moderate snow would push into and through the state of Ohio. The storm still had a ways to go though, as the precipitation was still falling in West Texas. By 10 the snow stretched from Tulsa to Philadelphia and the ice from central Texas to Harrisonburg, Virginia. Areas like St. Louis, Indianapolis, and Cleveland were all seeing moderate to at times heavy snow. By this point most areas in central Indiana had picked up over 6 inches of snow and still had several hours to go. On Tuesday night, January 27, 2009, Jamie Simpson was tracking the storm in Dayton, Ohio.
Dangerous. Let's get another check on our forecast now with Jamie Simpson.
And if the sleet that's been falling in Dayton had been all snow, we'd probably have about 4 inches or so on the ground. But it hasn't been snow. It's been sleet and maybe 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of ice pellets. So we've lowered the forecast snowfall amounts a bit across the south. We'll get to those in just a moment. But keep in mind that sleet is pretty heavy, and it's not going to be easy to shovel this tomorrow morning by any means. Live Doppler 7 radar, and it's been snow across the north all night. But based on some of the reports into our weather forum, we've gotten some sleet that's mixed in as far north as Urbana, Troy, New Carlisle, and maybe southern Darke County. But Greenville seems to be all snow, and points north of there all snow as well. And also some freezing rain has been mixing in down towards Wilmington, but you'll all go back over to snow by morning tomorrow, I believe, and we've got still quite a bit on the way. Let's expand the view a bit and show you that pretty much this mix line has not been moving north through the night all that much. And it's going to just pretty much stay the way it is. But notice how the line kind of dips south right here. Well, there's an area of low pressure about 3,000 feet above our heads right in this area, so that southerly wind ahead of it is pushing in the warmer air above our heads. That's why we have sleet. But once that passes on by, we'll get those northerly winds back 3,000 feet up, and that's why we're going to switch back over to snow, it looks like, by morning. And keep in mind, this is going to go until early to mid-afternoon tomorrow. Take a look at what is still on the way. There's a lot of this system still to come overnight and tomorrow morning as well. Let me show you how much we have so far based on reports from the National Weather Service and you through our weather forum. And this area here, 4 to 5 inches, Darke, Miami, Clark, and Champaign counties. This is the area right here that I think is going to end up with the most snow, probably upwards of 1 foot. And keep giving me those reports on our weather forum. Just find the Eyewitness 7 tab, and Jeff Porter will be updating this tomorrow morning as well. That winter storm warning goes until noontime tomorrow. We'll continue with ice across the south and snow across the north as we head through the night. But eventually, you can see it there, that snow line heading back to the south. And once sunrise comes, we'll continue to snow and pick up a few more inches tomorrow morning. And then this will all start to taper down as we head through tomorrow afternoon. So here's what I'm expecting now. 8 to maybe as much as 12 through Darke, northern Miami, southern Shelby, Champaign counties, maybe a little bit less far north, but now 5 to 9, Dayton, Springfield to Xenia, and less to the south because of the ice that we have been getting through the night. Temperatures near 20 across the north, a little bit milder to the south, 22 in Huber Heights, and as warm as 26 down in Wilmington. And they're going to pretty much hold steady. So snow and ice back to snow south overnight. Snow steady at times across the north through the night, and then some lighter snow tomorrow morning. But again, I expect a few more inches through the morning, and hopefully that evening commute will fare better than the morning commute. A few more snow showers Thursday night into Friday. This should not bring us much, maybe a half inch or so, and should be much, much quieter the rest of the week after tomorrow.
After midnight, the moderate snow was moving into the northeast, but the ice and snow was still falling steadily over the Ohio and Mississippi valleys. By 4, the moderate snow would move into New York City and western Connecticut. Back in Paducah, Bowling Green, Louisville, and Cincinnati, the ice continued to fall and hundreds of thousands of people were already without power. These areas will change over to snow within the next few hours, but the snow would only make things worse, as most of these areas had seen at least 3/4 of an inch of ice and then were about to get another 2 to 3 inches of snow on top of that. By afternoon, western Kentucky and Indiana were finally done with the storm after 36 straight hours of precipitation in some areas. By 4 p.m. it would completely move out Kentucky and Ohio, but the damage was done, as over 2 million people were without power and in the cold. Over the next 6 to 12 hours it would move up into the northeast and eventually into Canada, and the 2009 ice storm was over for the United States. Here is a time-lapse of actual radar from in telecast of the storm from late on the 27th to morning on the 28th. The snow was not the worst part, it was the ice that made this winter storm so bad. Like I already said, millions were without power due to downed power lines from ice or trees falling on power lines and knocking out power. The worst icing was from southeastern Oklahoma to northern Kentucky, where anywhere from a half-inch to an inch fell. And the worst was near the Paducah area, with ice accumulations over an inch, and some areas had as much as 2 inches. Here is an image of an area with light icing. And to be honest, it is quite pretty, but some areas were hit much harder and it looked like this. Trees were down everywhere and power lines were down on the ground. The weight of the ice was too much for them to handle and left millions in the dark. But there was a snow side to this system, and it caused problems as well. Central Indiana was hit hard by the snow, with several reports of totals in the 14 to 16-inch range, although most areas were in the 8 to 12-inch range. Even an area which saw heavy icing like Lexington saw around 6 inches of snow from the storm. The stretch of heavy snowfall spanned from southern Illinois to Maine. The 2009 ice storm is one that, for the people who experienced it, will never forget. And if you experienced it, let me know what happened where you were down in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.